Okay, so recording started. So hello and welcome. We're going to talk about research and formatting today, and I kind of use the same stuff, only a little bit harder in 102, because it's all the same, right? First thing I want to tell you guys, everybody who's listening, is that nobody, including an instructor, can ever know everything about research and formatting. There's just no way. For example, let's see, MLA, we're on 8th edition, right? And then APA, we're on 7th edition, and CMS has a million. That's the Chicago style. I mean, like, we just have just a host of different types of formatting. So the key is knowing where to go, right? And then knowing some simple things. So I've got some cheat sheets that I'm going to post too, and I'll show you those, but I'm really more concerned about making sure you kind of know where to go. So where to go and some other things, which will actually be here. So we're going to look at where do you do the research. We're going to look at phrases you can use because people tend to overcomplicate things sometimes. Formatting resources that you can use to help format. And the template that I have, something I'm noticing across the board in every class, is that I provided one, but people aren't using it correctly or they're just not using it. So I want to remind you of where that's at too and what it looks like and how simple it is to use. And a template, if you don't know, is just a form that's already created for you and you just replace information. So I don't like recreating the wheel. I don't like asking you to. So we're not going to. We're going to use stuff that's already available to you. So regardless of what field you're researching, the stuff we're going to do is going to help. So, and I will ask a few people what theirs is and help you through it a little bit. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about our library because I think it's kind of underrated. People don't look at things the same way as I do because I know about what's in there. Now, printed material is one thing, and I'll show you the links. We're actually going to go to our library page. And then online materials are vast in our library, and you'll see that in a few minutes. We'll stop and go through a few things too. And then below that little recorder thing, it actually says tutors. So you've got librarians and tutors, and the librarians, you can actually click something and just ask a question. Of course, you can go over there. You know, some people can't if you're at home doing something else. And then the tutors, we have math and English. I don't know if people know that, but they will actually proof. You can send them an email with your paper in advance, because of course they need, in advance. They like to have your rubric if you send it in, and tell them specifically what you want them to look at, like, can you check the grammar in this and just make sure? So even though you use things like Word to check it, or even Grammarly, you're not going to catch all that stuff. And then also they look at formatting. They know APA and MLA, which is really helpful for all classes. The reason I do 102 APA is because we have the option to do that because it's used for everything else. And I don't think I should be teaching you all MLA in an advanced English class. I think you should be using the APA so you can use it for everything except history. So you do have to use Chicago style. The search engines, I'm not a fan of Google Scholar, and you'll see why when we start. A lot of times those are paid things, and if you've never heard of it, it's just another place in Google to look for scholarly articles, which is great if you can find free ones, but it's not very common to find free ones. So then ResearchGate is a new one. We're going to sign up for accounts while you're here, so you can kind of see that. And it is wonderful too. Have you all ever heard of that? Okay. So I'm seeing some no's. So ResearchGate is researchers actually put their information on there. I did a whole series of articles and research on Montessori at one point, and I requested 80 different things off of ResearchGate, and only like 12 people didn't send them to me. So some of them are already posted, and then if they're not there, you can actually request it. And they'll send you free articles, peer-reviewed journal articles that you might not have access to at school. So it's really a cool thing. Okay, so we are actually going to go. I want you to go to MyPath. And I'm going to show you the links here, but you're going to see them, and then we're going to go through them a little bit later. So MyPath, you'll go to the library link. It's that simple. And then choose South Central. There's also a Southeast you can get sucked into, but South Central. And then once you're there, you're going to see a lot of stuff. Now, here's the thing. We're all like in this electronic world of ours, and sometimes we don't look for the tiny details, right? We look down a page and go, oh, it's not there. But I want you to look at the tiny details because they're important. So when you look through this, you're going to see these down there somewhere. So if you scroll down the page, you're going to see all this. And here's the important ones. And we're gonna actually use these in a little bit. But ask a librarian or tutor, it's that simple. You click it, right? And you can ask them anything about research. Like Esther French, Miss French is a brilliant woman. Her ears are probably itching. This, if you don't know how to evaluate sources to see if they're credible or how to find them, that tells you. I'm going to tell you. And also I found a full video to help. I do want to talk about this just for a minute. So when we're looking at things to see if they're credible, a lot of teachers say you can't use news, it's biased, and it can be definitely biased, depending on what you're reading or looking at. But you want to look for that part when you're evaluating a resource to use for a paper in this class and even beyond, is you want to look to see who wrote it, right? Because that's important. If you just are a first-time writer, if I decide to write about something about English, I never took an English class and I just thought it was neat, you're probably not going to use my writing, and you shouldn't. Then you want to look, are there any resources, any references in there that they used? Most of the time on online articles, you'll see those down at the bottom, right? But now we've started incorporating those as links. You ever see the blue links? They're right in there where you can click and see what's going on. Those are a lot of times some of those sources that they use. So those count. And then you just want to make sure that the article, whatever you're using, isn't slanted one way or the other. We call it bias, right? You take a side. So you have to look at that and see if it's balanced. This one we probably won't use at all, but it's important. You can look through it. They use the project research guide. And the SkyCTC Library Courier and Western, I want to tell you about that even though we're not going to use it right now. If you find something that you need that we don't have, we have a whole sisterhood or brotherhood or whatever you want to say of libraries that you can have our staff at the in the library pick up. Well, they'll have it sent if it's far away. But they actually go over to Western and pick up books from there. So you can go online to their catalog, and if you find something, a journal you want to look at that's in printed format, or a book, or you need access to something over there, they can help you get access to that. It's really cool. So when you get into a topic that's harder to find, you can actually use Western sources, and we will bring those over here or to whatever school somebody's at. So occasionally we have somebody online that's not local, but not in this class. Okay, so also down there, I want y'all to look at these. The most important ones are going to be academic video online. It has other stuff in here too. EBSCO host, Gale. So those are the big ones that you use on our library website. And these are all on that page that you're on. If you scroll down, you're going to see all those. Now sometimes it gets really difficult to decide how you're going to do it. Right? You're like, oh my God, there's like 50 links. I don't know where to go. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about. But I want to show you the wheres, right? Where do I get it? And then these are even more. So that news bank is the coolest thing ever. I love it. You can go on there and get a lot of different newspapers. Okay? And I think they still have some of the international ones. So these links are all on the library page on our library. So if you click that, you can get into the news. The ProQuest is another really good one for research. So I named 3 on the other page where we were up here, which was the academic video, EBSCO, and Gale, right? So this one, the ProQuest, is another one of those that we'll use that kind of pops up if you put it in the search box. The databases are important too, but it's tricky how to use those. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that we have research guides that kind of tell you where you should go. And your fallback, say you're nursing, you would go to the nursing research guide, right? Easy fix. But if you're something like chemical engineer, that's a specialty that's not in there because they don't have like a program that set that up. So the fallback would be English because English has like these popular databases in it. And there's also a general search that we'll use too. Okay, so do you all feel like you've kind of looked at these to see what's on that page? I'm going to pause. Okay, so if you're listening to the recording, just make sure that you go through and check out the library resources. Okay, so this one is Google, obviously. Now, I've tried Bing, I've tried all these different search techniques, and what I'm going to do is I found a Google video that actually taught me some stuff. Two of the ways that they do research that you can use search terms I did not even know about. So I pulled that out because it's only 10 minutes and we're going to look at that during class. It's really cool. One of the things you'll notice here, there's different ways, like research is almost an art, but there's some science to it too. Simple is best. That's the best way to do research. If you notice here, like I had a student who wanted to be a midwife, and she was taught, that's part of nursing. And different states have different regulations. So we looked at nursing and midwifery. She was going to write a paper about it. And the very first thing that popped up is 4 steps to becoming a certified nurse. Now, is this something you can use for your research? We don't know yet because we haven't looked at it. But like the whole thing, because I said I want nursing and midwifery or midwife, right, inside the same article is what I told it here. And so I didn't have to go, how do you become a midwife, or what kind of nursing programs have midwives? Like Google's like, what? Right? There's just too many words for me to comprehend this. And then you get all kinds of crap on the page. So that's what happens a lot of times with research. Now this is actually should be a line that didn't show up. But when you look down here where it says NIV COVID-19, this actually, the only search term was COVID-19, and because it's just popular right now. But normally you would have to put in something, especially if we wanted to do and vaccines, we would literally put COVID-19 and vaccines, or vaccine. So there are different ways to do that. So this one was one where somebody was having trouble doing fashion, and we talked about different ways you can get credible sources without making it too complicated, right? So even though this isn't yours, this is something really cool that you can look for on here. And then I'm going to leave Google to tell you about the PDF stuff. But so fashion and technology, I put in cited by because if you can find articles on this list that you see like circled here that says cited by, that means somebody has used it in their research. They have mentioned it somewhere, maybe online on another article, but sometimes it's actually in peer-reviewed journal articles. Now this one's probably not, and it's not very popular because if you notice it's 1997 and only 52 people had cited that. So the reason they probably cited it is because it showed up on the first page, right? But that's not smart either, because let's think about this. If I have a web page and it's been up 21 years, right, or 50 years, or however, whenever the internet started, it's actually going to rank probably higher, right? Because it's been around a long time, and as long as I'm posting, Google's like, hey, we like you. So really what you want to do in research is don't stay there at the top, right? Your first options are probably not your best options. Now they can be if you put in some of the things that are going to be in the video, which you can put in years, right? You can tell it. You can actually tell Google, when do I want this to happen? When do I want these articles? So we'll look at that too. And I think it's just a great tool. I hate to give them props because they already have a lot of money, right? But we still gotta admit that search engine's the best. Now on Bing, it isn't working the same for me. I went through and I thought, if I'm doing Montessori stuff like I was doing back then, what am I seeing pop up, right? And it just has a different algorithm. And that's just the way it's picking up things. So it's a little bit different. You can still use other search engines though, if you have a preference, because Bing probably has a little more privacy in it, but I don't know, there are others out there. But that just shows you how simple it can be to find stuff. ResearchGate, I want you to do this one. And if you're listening to this video later online, it's researchgate.net. So let's all go there. Gate.net. Researchgate.net. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I want you all to go ahead and sign up because that will help you see what I see. So this is a screenshot of that, and I'll pause in just a second and let you all do that. Once you get inside, if you look at this, you can search for, I had a favorite researcher's name, and she was wonderful, and so I could put in her name and get all of her articles on Montessori. You can put in the actual subject. You can put in the title of the publication that you know that it's in. So if you go to Google and you find something that says you owe us $39 to buy this, right? You can actually go in here and see if they have it. So if your library doesn't have it, you can go in here and request it from them. And researchers like to share. So I'm going to pause this just for a minute and give you all time to do it. And if you don't know, it's up at the top in the little, it says researchgate.net. It'll let you sign up. And you all already paused to sign up. I probably should have done it there, but I wanted to let you all see the website. So first I showed you, okay, the library page is wonderful. Google's wonderful, right? ResearchGate is another resource. But this is where the problem lies when people, or the lack of knowing these, when people aren't doing the right phrases, right? So I showed you some examples of how you put like nursing and midwife, right, together. Well, these are called Boolean phrases. They're actually in programming languages. So if you're an IT buff, you'll hear these. And they're very, very important for Google. So you can see that an algorithm that's computer-based would be related to programming, right? So they use this algorithm to find things for you, and it's really great. So if you can learn these, and we're going to watch a very short video. I hope they can see it. I'll stop the thing. I hope they can see it once I do it. I'm going to stop the video and show you more ways. But these are the main ones. And the two major ones are and or. Okay? Not is really, well, I'll show you. Because I'm going to show you a picture of what that looks like. So on this page, they've used and. So what you're asking for is, globalization is like if you have a business and you go global. Right? It's anything that goes global, right? Globalization. So in this case, we're probably thinking business and then human rights, right? So what you're telling the search engine to do is I want these close together in the same article. These have to be together when you send me. Now, this is not a perfect thing, right? Because it's programming and computers. But it increases your chance so much more. So just like nursing and midwife, right? So you're saying, I want those together. Right? This one does not say that. And let me scroll down to the next one too. We'll talk about it. So, if and says together, and you say, I want things on globalization or human rights, we're going to get a lot more stuff, right? So you're not saying I want globalization and not human rights mentioned, right? You're saying either one's fine. I'm going to decide on the topic later. Right, so you're opening it up to just a can of worms. But if you're confused, you're going into the medical field, say, and you want stuff on nursing and nurse practitioners, that could be very helpful, right? Because most of the time, those two things, well, they can be in the same article, but there's going to be separate information out there. And so that's very useful for that, especially when you're in the planning phase. Now, the next one isn't used as much, but it can be. So if you're doing like medicine, and you know that they mention vaccines a lot, and you're sick of hearing about those, right? You don't want anything to do with those. You don't want to write about those, and you don't want them in your research. You would put not, right? So whatever that search term is you want, you put in, and then not, and whatever you want to exclude. Now, again, it's not perfect, but it works beautifully. I mean, it is wonderful. So keep that in mind. These are wonderful, wonderful things to help you. Okay, let me see if I can get back here. I think the next one is, yeah, that was the Boolean picture. So the links in here don't work exactly. So when you see this video, you'll see the links below the video in the order they're in the video so that you all can go back and look at them if you want to. Plus, there's going to be cheat sheets linked in there that I'll show you probably toward the end. Okay, so here we're going to stop and watch a video. For the online people, I have no idea if this is going to work per sound, but it should. So hopefully it will. It's only 10 minutes, so don't panic. What I did is I went out and I thought, okay, I know a lot of these, but is there anything really short that you all can save, for later if you need to? And I have a handout for this too, it's got a few different things on it. But this one is awesome because they rocked it. I can't lie. I couldn't have done this. They have different ways to look up stuff that's very surprising, at least 2 of them to me. So, and it takes a lot to surprise me, 2 or 3 of them. So we're going to stop and watch that, and then we'll get back to the presentation. And then I'll ask if anybody has questions when I pause. Let's talk about a few related words today. So we kind of got nursing. Nursing's related to the medical field. There's medical doctors around them. Medicine, vaccines, pediatrics, obstetric. I mean, you name it. They are related to every single thing around them, right? And if you think about travel, we could go destinations, travel agencies. You could do separate countries, different cultures. So you could like all of these have things that are related to them that we could use as those search terms. So if we did travel and low cost or travel and discount, right? We're going to get certain things in there, probably Travelocity and stuff. And then if you go dance, there are a million types of dance. Well, not a million, but we've got lyrical and ballet and hip hop and all kinds of stuff in there, right? And there's also mechanics of the body are related to dance. I mean, you really could go high. You could do dance and teaching or teaching degrees, or dance and school programs, or, you know, stage dancing or whatever. So there's all kinds of stuff that you could do here. So that, I think I cut off my title here, so that you can do your research. That's the whole point of doing those related words. So where you saw the and and the or, that's why it's relevant to kind of start with this thought process. See if I can get it to go forward. Okay. So we kind of paused and thought. But I do want you to think about, because that's what's coming, right? We're going to start doing that. And there'll be a whole process where we talk about thesis statements, where we go through an outlining phase. So the very first part of this, though, really has to do with making sure you know your related words. And something's going to spring in your mind and go, I'm kind of interested in that, right, as you start looking. Now, research takes time, so you have to be patient. I know we're all time challenged in this world because we're all busy, but taking a look will help. So we're going to look at a couple resources really quickly. My timer's getting ready to go off, isn't it? Yeah, I said 10:25. Let's look at a few of these. One of the most important that I want to look at, because that's what these are, the formatting and using templates, is this page. It's Education Universe, and the link will be down below it. It's my favorite because the template is correct. It's in the student edition. And I want to look at that just for a minute. So when we're looking at how to format, because that's part of writing, right? You have to document your sources. So here you'll see the download template that you can go to. And hopefully it'll let me go behind here and open it in the little video that talks about it. But really all you need is the template. I'm going to be very brief on this. Let me turn my timer off so I don't scare us to death. Let's get ready to go off. Okay. So the template, if you can see, I don't know, have you all used APA at all before? They made a great, bless you, they made a great change to this, which I love. They took the stinking header out of the student version. See, you used to have running head up there. So everything is as it should be. And so the big mistake made is people delete stuff before they type it, right? So literally, you can go in here, and I know that you all know how to change stuff, but it's the easiest way to mess it up is just to delete it before you do it, right? So you already know that this is in bold. You can type over it, or you can type above it and then delete it. So I don't recommend deleting anything until after you know for sure it's going to look the same, right? So it's exactly where it needs to be. There's no header. And then page 2 has no header. Now you all, unless I say do an abstract, you do not have to do one. The abstract is the summary of the entire paper. It's not like an abstract from somewhere else that you pull in. It's yours. It's just your summary of your paper, right? And what the major words are in there, those keywords. And that, like in research, if you were going to go publish, that would help people find you. That would help people find your papers. So if we were going to share all those in a big collective on Blackboard, it would allow you to actually search by that, right, those keywords. So it's really helpful, but we're not going to do that yet. So here's the first page, what it should look like. Again, do not delete anything until you know you're doing it. Level 1, let me explain this. So this is not the title. This is like, if you're separating your paper to organize it, level 1s are those main topics. Okay, and really you all should not go any further. You should probably be using level 1 and level 2. So level 2 belongs to this one. So if you were if you were on level 1 and you said, okay, I'm going to talk about X-rays in one of my sections, right? And this is all about X-rays, right? And then level 2 would be safety of the X-rays, maybe. So it depends on how you break it down. You'll see how it works out as we do the outline. But really, you really shouldn't need to go past level 1, so all those are centered, right, all the way down your paper. And that does help organize. You don't need as much transition, right, because the reader knows she's doing X-rays here, she's doing MRI here, she's doing whatever next. I know what she's talking about. So it really does help, and those are all level 1. You don't go past that if they're major sections. Does that make sense? Okay. Because sometimes people go down the line for their next part, and I just want to make sure that you know that those are major sections or the centered one. And you usually don't go past that. Some people have a level 2. And then if you use a table, this is what it looks like. And hopefully you won't have to, because you're not doing like major, statistical research. But that's what it looks like. And the only word count that would count is the words that you write, right? The actual table wouldn't, because you're probably going to pull it in from somewhere else. And that's what a picture looks like. And of course that doesn't, we use word count, but I just wanted to show you those. And then, so if you have those go before your references, right? They go in between with after your content or inside your content in a relevant spot. And then this is just where your references start, and there's other things that can help you format that. So it's really simple to use, and that's the correct one. So when I give you the link and say, hey, go here and use the correct one, that's where I'm talking. So one question asked is, when you're alphabetizing, how's that done, by the author, by the article? And it depends on how you're formatting it. So if something doesn't have an author, the way you format APA is the article name, right? So it will go literally alphabetical by the first letter. The last name of so when you see these formatted, you've got the last name of the author, comma, first initial, and it's by the last name, and it's alphabetical. Does that help? Okay. All right. Okay, so I want to leave you with this thought, and then a couple other things. I want to show you the templates that you'll see and what they are. Or cheat sheets. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So I want you to really think about your field. Okay, or if you're really unsure and you're like, yeah, I told her this, but that's not really what I'm thinking right now, I might be thinking about going into this, you can explore that. But I want you to consider how to do the phrases, the ands, right? Sticking those together. And think about your related words so that you can get started, because we're going to go on break, right? We're going to be away a long time, so I don't want to make you do these major assignments right before break and then come back and go, I have no idea what I was doing. I don't know what topic I looked up. So and it's not like an official assignment, but it will help you to get started when we come back, is to think of your related words to your major and go look at, right? Using some of the techniques that you saw. Now I want to show you some cheat sheets too that you'll see floating around. And I found these online. I have my own, but I haven't updated one of them to 7th edition. So let's go. This one is about, if you look at this, it's got the interview format. Oh, that's Emily. I'm sorry. I pulled up the wrong one. The interview format for APA is done in the text, and I have to get that off my email, so I'll just have to include the link. Hold on. Okay, here is an APA citation sheet that goes all the way down and shows you everything. Because if you go to OWL, have you all heard of OWL? If you go OWL APA, you're going to get like a bunch of stuff. Or you can go OWL APA in-text citation. It's still going to be really involved. These cheat sheets are shorter, and they came from one of them is actually from an elementary school, and it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. So it's going to be on here. I'll include all those links below the video when I post those so that you have those. And then another one. Here's another one that's great. It shows you how does it connect to the reference. right? So you see up there, it's got a reference and it shows you how does that look inside the text. I always send out, like on the major paper, a little list of what's it look like if you say this and what's it look like if you don't. So you'll get that from me. It's like a list of 6 of them. And then these are supplemental information to help you out, okay? So it's really knowing where to look, right, on how to do it. So I just want you all to leave here today thinking, what are the related words to my field? And I feel like I could look in Google if I needed to, right? Now the library website right there smack dab in the middle is the Primo thing that you can stick a topic in and you can use that. But we're going to go a little bit more into that and actually do research on the databases. Okay, so this is kind of installment 1, and as we do thesis statements, we'll have to use that information to get information for you all to build that essay. So let me pause this. So this is the last slide. It's my thank you and have a great day, and don't forget to look at the links below the video so that you can access all the information in it.